Hello, babe. And by babe, I mean son. Look, we have a very progressive family. Don't judge, don't judge. Welcome in, Ender, and anyone else who stops by. So we're just going to be doing a quick run through. This is mainly a YouTube video, and I was like, man, what if I just did this YouTube video live? Because I'm lazy. All right, so we're going to be reacting to the developer update for September. I didn't even realize that this was coming up so soon. It was like, holy crap, it's already time for the mid-chapter, or at least the PTV of the mid-chapter. But I guess now that they're doing it like with a 3-week buffer instead of a 2-week buffer between the PTV and the patch, I guess the return side of that is we get the PTV pretty early. All right, so let's take a look and see what we got here. All right, welcome to the September Developer Update, a series of blog posts where we discuss upcoming changes and features making their way to Dead by Daylight. In case you guys didn't know. I know that we need to review these things. All right, so Chapter 16 review. With upcoming mid-chapter, we are kicking off a new initiative to review the previously released chapter the killer, their perks, and survivors perks, and make changes that are needed. The first to receive this treatment is the Silent Hill chapter. Okay, so that's interesting. I kind of like that because, okay, so you have like for instance, Oni, when he released, it took him to about like mid-chapter. Hold on one second, guys. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Apologies. I had like a single grain of pepper stuck under my tongue that was just like slowly making me need to cough worse and worse. Like, holy shit, I've never had that happen before. That was some intense pepper. I guess we could talk about this thing, though. Hold on, one more time. Okay, I promise I'm not dead. I just, holy shit. This single grain of pepper, guys. This is a Chad grain of pepper. It was quite a tough battle, but we got it down. All right. But I like the idea of this because, okay, so usually the way it works is that like they release a killer and there's like a hot fix which fixes some things, and then they usually will release the mid chapter, at which point the killer is in a fairly stable state and they leave him be. Now sometimes there's overall flaws with the killers so that even after the mid chapter they're not addressed because they want to see how things shake out. Just cut my tongue off. I mean, I am an Oni main, sort of. I say sort of because I hop around a lot, but so yeah, they leave it in like a state where they want to see what shakes out, but then when they leave it in that state, they never address it for like years afterwards. So it's kind of shit. There's been a few killers that have been stuck in that spot, but for the most part, I think they've panned out the more recent killers fairly well. So yeah, I like this. This is a good idea. This gives us like a sort of period of review for the killer where they have obviously the short-term like big fixes that come in right after release, and then they have like the sort of meta evolved fixes that need to be addressed afterwards. So that's a smart approach. I'm not against that. Good idea. Let's see. Likewise, something that might be underpowered might find a niche. Oh, let me see. We feel that it's important to see how new content plays out in a real scenario before committing to balanced changes. Something that seems overpowered upon release can end up being a non-issue once people have a chance to play against it and develop counterplay. Likewise, something that might seem underpowered might find a niche once people have the time to experiment with new builds and playstyles. Other times, the playstyles that crop up over time can turn out to be frustrating or unfun to play against. With this in mind, we plan to review the previous chapter once it has a few months to simmer and address any issues or imbalances that may have appeared. This period gives us a chance to monitor how the new content is used and get a better understanding of how it is. What? There's a chance to monitor how the new content is used, how it is used. I feel like they sort of just said the same thing twice, but okay. And understand how it can be abused before tweaking things. Okay. Yeah, I mean this is a solid idea. That like just off the bat, not bad. I approve. Let's see what they're taking away from the Pyramid Head. From watching Pyramid Head matches over the past few months, we have noticed that many people will opt to only use his Punishment of the Damned attack at pallets and windows, where the survivor is locked into the interaction and unable to attempt to dodge the attack. To address this and make gameplay more dynamic, we are making 2 changes. Okay. This is concerning right off the bat. I'll explain why in a moment. Let's see. Increase the delay after canceling Rites of Judgment before Pyramid Head can attack. Okay. Iffy. I really need to know like how much of a delay. If we're talking like maybe Huntress Hatchet putting away, I mean, I could go for that. Anything more, I think, and I don't think it should have a movement penalty, but okay. The reason for this change is to add a downside to canceling your power to each pallet or window. Currently, the survivor is left with two choices: vault the window / drop the pallet and get hit with Punishment of the Damned, or continue running and get hit with basic attack. By increasing the delay before you can do a basic attack after canceling Rites of the Judgment, the survivor gets a small window to avoid an attack, similar to Huntress or Demogorgon. Okay, well, hold on. Huntress or Demogorgon doesn't have any window. What are you talking about? Demogorgon can literally just like cancel his power and instantly attack you. But okay, you know what? Pyramid Head can do that too, but okay, well, whatever. Let's read the rest. Decreasing the delay after attacking with Punishment of the Damned. Okay, that's interesting. Missing an attack with Punishment of the Damned can feel very punishing. It's very funny, guys. Oh, the irony. The cooldown after attacking is fairly long, which gives the survivor a long time to gain distance. By lowering the cooldown, you'll be able to use your power more liberally without having it backfire as hard as if you miss. Wait, as hard if you miss. Okay. Doesn't have that. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with demo, but it's behavior. They're special. The goal of these changes is to move Pyramid's gameplay in a more skill-based direction, which rewards aiming your attacks rather than canceling your power or using it only in situations where you're guaranteed a hit. We are not aiming to make executioners stronger or weaker overall, but rather address some of the frustrating issues on both sides. Okay. All right, so here is how I feel about this. This is very iffy. I think that he needs that threat. Hold on, do I have my highlighter tool? I do. Let me pull up a white page. Okay, perfect. No, Google, go away. White, just white. I need a white block. Okay. No, that's transparent game. Okay, here we go. Oh my lord, guys. I did not think this would be so hard. I need to explain a few things, because people always say Pyramid Head does not have counterplay, and I do not agree with that. Here, let's just do this. Can we zoom? Zoom. Oh my god, guys, I cannot get a white page. A blank page on Google. Wallpaper, here we go. We need, look guys, this was not planned, but damn it, we're going for it. Okay. 1280 x 720. Just give me the damn blank white page. Okay. No. Okay, guys, look. We're getting there. Copy image address. Boop. Good enough. Okay, I just need a canvas here. Honestly, seeing the pyramid hedges makes me worry if Demo's canceling his shred is gonna have a huge delay. Ooh, that would be bad. Okay, so everyone likes to say that that Pyramid Head has no counterplay, because here, let's draw up a basic jungle gym. We'll go for the weaker jungle gym. So boom, vault, that's a vault. We'll do this little vault here. That's how you know it's a vault. And then we have like a little thing here. Boop. We got a pallet here. And then it goes up like this. And it's like this. There's like a little way to go through over here. This isn't in the right place, but we'll go with it. Okay, so people look at this and they say, I'm a survivor. And this big bad killer that is Pyramid Head in this case. Oh, we need to erase this. We need actual Pyramid Head representation here. I apologize to all the Pyramid Head mains. Pointy boy. Here is the Pyramid Head. Okay, so we're chasing. They go for the vault. And they're like, oh, well, shit. If I vault, he's going to use Punishment of the Damned. If I don't vault, and I just like try to go for the pallet, I might get to it in time, at which point we have the same situation. Or he may hit me beforehand. So they see it as a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Now, the reality of the situation is, in this situation, you probably don't want to be approaching this particular tile from this angle. You would, if anything, want to like maybe run around this side, try to loop it back if you're far ahead enough. But this is not a good tile for you. So he is threatening at this tile. But people take that and they use it to like try to act like there's no counterplay to anything that Pyramid Head does, or any loop, like he's unloopable. And the problem with that, in just a moment, because remember, Pyramid Head moves at a slower rate of speed when he's trailing, and he has to move, he can't strafe, like he has to move in the direction he is looking. So we're going to take a very simple loop, a loop you might see on, let's say, like maybe Autohaven, or I think they have these on a lot of different maps, honestly. You have them on McMillan as well. Like take one of the longer, like let's say like the tank tires, like the little tank tractor thingies. You have these long loops like this, like narrow loops like these, or just any loop that has a straight line coming up into a sharp turn into a pallet. So in this situation, Survivor's here, Pyramid Head's chasing here. Once the Survivor goes into this area, if he is following you with trails of his little trail thing, he has to, in order to be aiming and executing that threat to hit you with punishment of the dam, he has to be looking in this direction, because he's going to be like right around here. So he's got to be looking in this direction, meaning he is running into the tank tire and slowing himself down, giving you extra distance, meaning that you can then continue to loop. So and also it's worth noting that he drops down to like 3.8. So you, like when he picks his sword up to stab it into the ground, he moves at 3.8 for about a second. I think it happens afterwards as well, but I'm not entirely positive. But because of that, that means that in order for him to have that threat engaged, he has to be losing distance, meaning that you are allowed to get more of a lead on him and continue looping. So while he can exercise a threat to a degree, it's not as good as people think it is. There is counterplay to that. It's mainly finding yourself, and it's similar to the Demogorgon counterplay in the sense that it's finding yourself in situations where it is not a straight path to whatever is going to lock you into an animation. If you can do that, then he doesn't have as optimal of a setup for it. The same could be said at like, say like the larger or mid-sized rock loops in McMillan, like where you have like a round rock like this, and then you have a pallet, and then you have another round rock. This looks a little lewd, but we're going to go with it. This rock is extra thick, don't judge. So in a situation like this, he again, like say he's coming around the side here. This one's not as good, but he again, if you have any kind of meaningful like lead on him, he's going to have to start facing into the rock to execute the threat on the pallet in order for that to still be something he can potentially do. So I don't think that people really appreciate that Pyramid Head is not necessarily like a god of anti-loop where he just gets to have you under that threat for free. He just has some loops where he's stronger at. Any loop that has a strong one. He's basically like Demogorgon, but with a little bit more leeway as to when he can exercise that threat. Since obviously Demogorgon has to hit you before you finish your vault, or it won't hit. So I do think people overhype that aspect of his gameplay. But I also think that that aspect of his gameplay is one of the paramount things of his strength. Like that's one of the big things that make him strong. So I do find that concerning that they're taking that away. It depends how much. If it's like a super long delay where it's like not even realistic to use it in that context anymore, it's going to be a big problem, because that is very easily one of the things that make him good. Like you can play the guessing game with the Survivor, and that's nice and all, but that's a very Survivor side guessing game, because there's this huge area you could be in and the killer has to pick out the one specific area where you actually are. So that's a little sketchy. Like that's something you want to go for, like hype, skill, swag shots, which are always nice, but that shouldn't be how you rely on playing your game entirely. You need something more stable and consistent in terms of returns. So overall, I'm very wait and see, because like Billy's change, for instance, we're like, oh, he's gonna get a freaking cooldown meter on his saw, it'll be so fun. That was like small. That was nothing. It really sounded bad, but when we saw it in implementation, it was just inconsequential. Although then again, they had to go through an unfucking period before that even became a case. So this could be okay, especially if they make it like less of a clusterfuck when you miss. It might be nice. I would say we'll probably see a mess in the PTB. They may overdo it because they have been known to overdo changes that they intend to be small. Hopefully the live version is still okay. All right. Now we have the more interesting part. Let's see perk changes. We are happy to see that some of the perks from Chapter 16 have found their way into people's regular lineup and niche builds. However, there are 3 perks that we'd like to revisit. These perks are... Wait, hold on. What perk has like really found its way into niche or to... Wait, hold on. Let me look at this. Okay, yeah, regular lineup. Let's see. Pyramid Head had the... what's it called? The one that makes it so you can't... Like, if you heal, you let people know. Trails of Torment and Forced Penance. None of those are popular. I mean, maybe you could get the whatever the healing one is. Forget what that's called. Maybe you could get that one in like a niche build, but it's certainly not worth using on a regular basis. We got Soul Guard as meta, but I mean everything else is kind of forgettable. But if you say so, behavior, you do you. All right, so let's see. They want to revisit Trails of Torment. Okay, good. I'm happy to see that. We erred on the side of caution when releasing this perk. You're damn right you did. If the killer is undetectable too often, it can easily become overwhelming and start to overshadow actual stealth-based killers. After watching it play out, we are comfortable with giving Trails of Torment a buff. Okay, good. The undetectable status effect will now remain active until the marked generator stops regressing or until a survivor is put into the dying state by any means. This creates an interesting dynamic where the survivors need to stop the generator from regressing to remove the undetectable status effect. The killer can use this to ambush survivors or use it to sneak up on survivors from an unexpected angle. Damn. They consider Deathbound a good perk. Maybe they consider it a niche. I could believe that it's a niche. Some people suffered from the delusion that it was worth using for a while, so I could see that. But this sounds exciting. I'm down. Hell yeah. That's pretty cool. Like, I can think of a lot of things you could do that. Think about this. You get Deathbound. I'm sorry, not Deathbound. Trails of Torment, Dragon's Grip, Pop Goes the Weasel. Instant 25% regression, 30 seconds of knowing that I'm undetectable and not being able to do anything about it. If you do something about it, I will come up and fist you for touching my generator. Could be fun. I could think of a few spicy gen kick builds with this. All right. Anyways, let's see what else we got. Forced Penance. Damn, I'm actually like really happy for Trail of Torment. That sounds really good. Like, could be spicy. Forced Penance has some interesting applications, but the duration seems to be a little bit low to get much use out of the broken effect. We are increasing the duration of broken effect by 20 seconds across all tiers. It's still forgettable, but okay. I mean, you can use it in basement builds. Like, that's the only time I ever find any use out of Force Pendant is just when you're basement hag. It's like, you could equip it. It might be okay. But whatever you say. Okay, Bloodpack's haste effect is nice to have, but did not last long enough to see much use. We are scrapping the duration of the haste effect and making it instead last indefinitely until they're within or not within 16 meters. That's okay. I suppose you could probably get something out of that. You'd probably have to have a fairly coordinated team. But if you do have a coordinated team, you might be able to like have your teammate work a gen relatively nearby. Because 16 meters is basically the width of 2 shacks. So you could like have your teammate do a gen nearby, I guess, and you could like maybe bully a 110 killer a little bit. Then again, 110 killers usually have some sort of strong chase power, so I don't know. Doesn't seem worth using. It's really not. It's a highly situational perk that's like, I could see like occasionally running a gimmick with Force Penance, but like I would never ever in a million years use it in a build that I wanted to consistently do well as much as a build that I wanted to be silly with. Which, I mean, that's fine. We need silly gimmick perks too. Okay, on the subject of perks, we have, I really think, on the side note, I think Force Penance would be nice if it just did that. Like, what if every you started the match with it charged, and every time let's see, I'm trying to think of it. Okay, how about this? What if every time you down a survivor, you get a stack for Force Penance, and then the next person that you hit gets broken? That seems like a good way to like have it consistently usable, but not like insane or ridiculous in any way. You could maybe have a cooldown on it, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like that might be more interesting. Although that might be good too. You might want to make it like a double charge, like 2 downs equal a charge for force pendants. Something along like the lines of downing somebody, because right now, like, protection hits are something entirely in the hands of the survivor. Like, if they choose to do that, it may come up with a situation. Like, how can you find it fun to have a perk that has no, like, meaningful way for you to facilitate gameplay around it? It just seems like bad design. It's like, especially when the thing is not only able to be done purely by the decision of your opponents, but purely by them making a decision that they will very rarely make. So I really don't like that now. Okay. Anyways. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, on the subject of perks, we also prepared a package of perk updates for this mid-chapter. Like the perks mentioned above, we'll go through and give a short explanation for each one. Any means necessary, okay. Reduce cooldown to 60 seconds, added a score event for resetting a pellet. Okay, cool. I don't really mind this. This is another perk that we aired on the side of caution when releasing, which I understand why. Resetting pellets can be a game changer. I wanted to make sure that it would not get out of hand. Upon review, we are comfortable with it decreasing to a cooldown of 60 seconds. Okay. How I feel about this one is it's okay. I mean, the stronger pellets usually are going to get broken as soon as they get dropped, so you don't necessarily run into it like resetting stronger pellets that often. And the more average pellets, it's like, yeah, if they get dropped, they get dropped, but they usually have some sort of gameplay at that loop, so okay. Excuse me. Still getting off over that grain of pepper there. So yeah, that's okay though. I honestly, that was a perk that I was really scared about when they first released. Any means necessary. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be fucking bullshit. It sounds way scarier than it is, so I don't even mind it having a 60-second cooldown. It's like, whatever. All right, cruel limits. Increase the radius to 32 meters. Still shit. Sorry, it just is. I think that the 24-meter radius, let's see, considered cruel limits would be overbearing when the perk first launched, but it turned out to be a non-issue. Yeah, non-issue is right. As in, we can run that. We tried testing that perk out. We ran it like several games in a row and never once got value out of it. It's like, in order for cruel limits to be valuable, it's like you have to be in a situation where the gen just got finished and the survivor is going to a vault but has no pallet or any other way available to them. It's such a rare situation that it just never is useful. Like, I think that if they want to keep it as 32 minutes or 32 meters relative to the gen, what they should do is make it so that it blocks pallets as well. Then it may have the potential to be good. But as of right now, it's just too unreliable. So I don't know. I don't predict that's going to matter. It's like, it's a nice buff because it is a buff still, but it's a buff that doesn't make it worth using still. So that's kind of in the force penance bucket of whatever. All right, for the people, added a score event for using for the people. I guess whatever. I mean, it's not like a shit perk, so it didn't really need a buff or a change really. So that's okay. Mindbreaker, increase the duration of the exhaustion effect. The exhausted effect from Mindbreaker often ended up being too short to make much use of. We are increasing the duration by a few seconds across the board. I don't think that's what Mindbreaker needs. I think Mindbreaker should apply for the entirety. I think it should keep its current exhaustion duration, but it should apply for the entirety of the generator rather than 50%. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Slippery Meat, remove the bear trap escape chance. Okay, that's good. It's good when your perk doesn't specifically counter a single killer that hard. Added an increased chance to self-unhook. Okay. Slippery Meat has found its way into some niche builds, but it's one of the few perks from back in the day that affects one killer more than others. Let's see, that's something we moved away from. To play better niche playstyle, Slippery Meat now increases your chance to self-unhook in addition to giving you one more self-unhook attempt. Okay, so you can get 7 unhook attempts and you have over 25% success rate. So that's pretty spicy if you ask me. Okay. Thanatophobia. I run the Thanatophobia occasionally, so I'm curious what they're doing here. Remove heal speed penalty and increase penalty on other actions. This is definitely a we're gonna wait and see sort of deal. Yeah, it's like, well, it could be stupid bad, or it could be crazy good. It's really hard to say. I have to see this one. We need to know. We need numbers here. Okay, what else we got? We're gonna live forever. Added new ways to get tokens. Okay, cool. Added increased healing speeds when healing a dying survivor. That's okay. We're Gonna Live Forever is often seen as the survivor equivalent to barbecue and chili, which makes sense, but lacking a secondary like the latter's aura revealing. It can also cause survivors to compete for unhooks, leading to people rushing in for hook saves. I mean, they do that already, but okay. Let's see. By adding additional ways to get tokens, we hope to reduce the competition between survivors. The secondary effect gives the perk more use within the trial. Okay, that's good. That's like what everyone wants. So that's a solid change. Happy. Did they say how they're going to give you more stacks? I don't think they did. I guess we'll find out. Let's see. Technician. Increase the chance to prevent an explosion to 100%. Okay, that's good. That was one of the things that made the perk stupid as hell. Added an increased penalty to missed skill checks. Okay, here's my theory on Technician. They were afraid that the 50%, or I'm sorry, that 100% immunity would be like, oh, we just released Doc. So like, man, we don't want to cuck him, we just released him. Because they thought that Doc would be able to make people miss skill checks. Miss skill checks. Which, I mean, he can kind of do if you have like a build super optimized for it, but for the most part, he doesn't. So let's see. Technician is designed as a perk to help newer players and those who struggle with skill checks. There is, however, a random aspect to it as whether or not the generator explosion will be prevented. To make it more consistent and play more into the learning tool aspect, we are changing the perk to always prevent the explosion, but adding a small penalty to progress from his skill checks. I don't think that it needs a penalty. I think the fact that you're wasting a perk on Technician is the penalty. So, meh. It's a decent change, but it's kind of stupid at the same time. What else we got? Pop Goes the Weasel. Like, honestly, I feel like you could do more to Technician, just thinking about it. Like, what if Technician made it so that you repairing a generator was silent? I feel like that would make it a relevant perk without making it overpowered. Like, imagine how satisfying it would be to like have a killer walking by and you just silently repairing the gen. Like, how much hype that would be, and how tense that would be, hoping they don't check for you. That'd be like part of the Claudette meta. Well, no, I'm sorry. Claudette meta would be letting you work the gen from the corner of the map. Be like, remote uplink. Let's see. Pop Goes the Weasel. Oh god, what are they doing to my boy? Decrease the time the perk stays active for 40 to 45 seconds. Hold on, let me see what they have to say. Originally, Pop Goes the Weasel had a 30-second cooldown, which felt too short to get much use out of. We later increased this to 60 seconds. This felt much better to use, but it wound up being a little too lenient and allowed killers to find and kick a generator at their leisure, often after chasing and downing a different survivor. To add some urgency back into the perk, we are splitting the difference and changing the time to 45 seconds at tier 3. This way you'll have enough time to get to the generator you want to kick, but you want to kick the generator before committing to a chase or survivor. I don't agree with this at all. Like, I don't think this is gonna like ruin the perk. It's 45 seconds is decent. It's not the end of the world. I just think it's unwarranted and unnecessary. So as it stands right now, you hook somebody, you get 60 seconds. I mean, sometimes the only time that you're not weighing, should I go after this chase, is if the survivor is in a bad spot where they're easily outplayed or they're injured. At which point it's like, well, what is this change saying? It's saying, oh, we don't want you to be able to capitalize on having a survivor outpositioned, or we want to make it a little bit more sketchy. It's like, Pop Goes the Weasel was never like an overpowered perk. It's a decent perk. It has use. Some killers synergize better with it than others. And yeah, I mean, it's never been overpowered. It's like, it relies on you getting generators done very quickly. Or, I'm sorry, getting hooks in really quickly and then getting to a generator. There's a lot of risk and downside to the perk in and of itself, in the sense that the generator gets popped in your face and then it doesn't do anything. And you waste time going to that generator where you could be pursuing a survivor. So it's like, the act of having to do it within a minute after hooking somebody, ignore other survivors, it's like, that's already a factor. So I think this is a case of behavior being like, oh, fun for survivors, even though it's like, I don't know, this is a stupid change. It's completely unnecessary. It's like, we got Undying Ruin, which is like pretty much the meta of slowdown at this point, which I'm sure they'll nerf eventually, but Yeah, this is a pointless change. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to stop using pop. I'll probably still use it in all the places where I normally do. But I think that this is basically behavior being like, man, you know that complaint survivors had, like, oh, I don't know, what was it, like fucking maybe 4 or 5 months ago when everyone was bitching about pop? Well, now we're going to address it because we are like 4 or 5 months behind the curve apparently. So even though it's like a far gone complaint that no one even talks about anymore, they're still like, nah, man, what if we fuck this up? I mean, who would want to have a reliably available perk? Now, I'm against this. I don't think it was smart. It doesn't ruin the perk, which is a plus, but the perk itself never needed a nerf. It was never overpowered. It was arguable whether or not it was even good to run it in a lot of cases. So disagree here. Okay, let's see. Perk rarity simplification. Keeping with the theme of perks and a small change, but noteworthy one nonetheless. Yeah, I agree. It is a shit change. I'm glad they didn't ruin it, but it's like one of those things that are frustrating because it's like it just shows like the mentality of the developers and just like how out of the loop they are on certain things. Like it's one of those things that just make you feel like, man, these devs do not get it. That's how it feels. Okay, going forward, perk rarity will match the tier of the perk. Okay, that's cool. I actually like that because that makes it so that all perks are alphabetically listed once I get them all to tier 3. So I like that a lot. Good deal. Okay, so small change, cool change. Last but not least, we recently showed off some concept art for the next realm of graphics update. There are once more, just in case you missed them. Okay, let's take a look here. Ooh, that's really detailed. I wonder if the game will actually look that way. Oh, it looks nice. Looks nice. I like it looks sort of foresty, which, I mean, Macmillan doesn't really look very foresty in general. So I'd like it if it has a foresty look to it. Very nicely detailed. Okay, well, you know what? I mean, this looks nice. Okay, so let's do a comprehensive review here real quick. Pyramid Head changes. Iffy. If it compromises his ability to have this little damned if you don't, damned if you do situation, it's going to be a problem because that is a large portion of what makes people think he's a relatively decent, if not, like, people don't think he's top tier, but they think he's like kind of good. That's where his strength comes from a lot. So yeah, if it undermines his ability to do that entirely, I think it's gonna be a problem. If it just gives him a little bit of leeway, sure, whatever. I like the decrease. That could make it a little bit more practical to go for the skill shots, so maybe. Trails of Torment, fucking badass change, love it. I will likely, I see several instances of which I will run this perk now, so that's cool. Force Penance, still irrelevant. Blood Pact, still irrelevant. Any means necessary, kind of cool. Cruel Limits, still irrelevant. For the people, kind of cool. Mindbreaker, still irrelevant. Slippery Meat, it's not so bad. Not so bad. I actually got some Slippery Meat value recently. It's not as bad as people might think. It's just so if they can make it like a more consistently free self-on-hook, sure. I mean, it's already kind of a free self-on-hook. You get 6 attempts at 25% chance, so it's like you could get fucked, but it'll usually be a self-on-hook for free. Thanatophobia, need to see more info. I need to know the numbers that we're getting on gen speed decrease. Like if they gave us like 8% gen or speed decrease, what would that be? That'd be like 32% slower. That'd be crazy with anti-heal. So I mean, like something like that could be spicy. But if they're like, hey guys, we know that you liked having that, what was it, 4% speed, but what if we gave you 5? Whoa, no, if they give me like fucking 5%, then it's like, no, this is a shit perk now, not worth using. We'll see on that. Hey Brew, what's up? Technician doesn't need the downside. It's already, the penalty for using Technician is the fact that you're wasting a skill shot on something that you don't need. You're with the science team. Hello, science team. How are science things? Pop, completely unnecessarily nerf, and perk simplification, that's the good idea. And this looks kind of pretty, so hopefully it looks nice in the end. I think that's it though. So overall decent. update. There's a lot of questions, which I guess we'll be seeing in the PTB that launches on Tuesday. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well.